We are.
So I signed up for it and did a lot of, signed the paperwork.
Yeah.
The NDA, he's being really smart.
I think that's going to be huge leaps for you because you already devote so much time to your practice. This will be directed during portions of that time, right?
Well, I think it's kind of like an open concept with lessons that he puts out.
Well, and he'll be able to see your work already, which is actually pretty cool. And no, like you're not at stage one to do a sphere, but maybe he'll make you do it, I don't know. That's so cool. So you really dive in deep now because you also have new masters.
Yeah.
Are you getting in over your head?
Yeah.
I do that all the time.
But New Masters was so cheap, and the lessons aren't like, I don't think they're that involved. And I bet you he's also rehashing a lot, you know?
Yeah.
But the New Masters, again, is like Vilpu Asaro and Todorovic is like...
Here for a minute while people come in.
Cool. Are we live now?
Yeah, it's going, but no one's there. And then I'll put the countdown on. So,
Okay.
yeah, don't you worry. Yeah, we're see, it's delayed. Yeah, there's like a 20 or 30-second delay. So I'll keep an eye on the chat, and maybe I'll just call so you don't have to look up at that.
Cool.
I was thinking I could make it even smaller. Because when it's like, I feel like it's a minute later when I get back to them, usually. You know, like I'm talking in the air and I'm like, oh, and I'm like, how long ago was that message? Let's see. Oh, this computer just smokes.
This is it.
Yeah, if you want to do a sharpen demo, put the garbage can right up there. I do it here usually, just so everyone can see the sharpening. Oh.
Oh, that's brighter.
Yeah. The light's dim at this time, always. Okay, I'll take that back after. We do the 5-minute countdown. Anyways, there's no pressure. Should be fun. It's kind of like you're talking to the class and they're behind you, but there's no reactions. It's a little bit hard in that there's no feedback.
Yeah.
But that's show business. Yeah, and you just gotta be careful of cables, because that should be over your head, so it doesn't. And then I often pull it up on my lap. But we'll see how it looks. Yeah. Cool. You got a couple minutes. You want tea or something?
Maybe more coffee.
Coffee we can do.
Rub my camera. Maybe do after I finish off the wires and stuff. Take some nice pictures.
Yeah, for sure. And if you're also here, take pictures, but do it again if you come here in the day, because the window light from down the hall does change the scenery. You know, like the louvers will be up at this time, so when you're taking photos, you'll only have them the light, which we didn't light it. They're just sitting wherever they are, right?
Right.
So if you come like Saturday in the day or something, when the light's streaming through the other side, it's pretty nice.
Streaming through which side?
The treehouse is all glass at the other end.
Okay.
So you get a lot of natural light. I mean, you would right now, probably. We have minutes here. Oh, let's get the phone out. We have, oh, dog sheet in my pocket. That's what she was going for. That's what she was after. Sweet. One more minute and I'll put the countdown on. I think I'm going to make a show bumper at the front and at the end after. Countdown. 5 minutes. Thanks for coming for the takeover here.
My pleasure. So you got to get your drawing board too.
Yes, right there.
So
Yeah. I just will adjust to fit you as you start going. Like I might need to move camera.
cool. I think right there is pretty good.
Okay, I'm just gonna slide back a little bit. This will bother you less then. There we go. Centered. Okay.
Cool.
I'm gonna have a really distorted drawing with Marla. Since I'm way over at this weird angle. I have this little screen here, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right. So I'm just gonna put an envelope in and then mark a couple points and get started.
Now, did you light this with colored light? Like a magenta light?
No, that's all after.
Oh, okay. Because I noticed it looked different on my computer and that screen. And I tweaked it to put it back to normal.
So today we're drawing Marla in a reclining pose. So first thing I'm going to do is find a couple points to go with and find a head position. And make a couple measurements. Make sure figure's kind of semi-proportional. So I'm guessing the head will be right about there. And we'll just follow down the form. And two, measuring out how many heads tall this is. And try and find the placement of the head. So basically just doing some heavy lifting on the shapes of the body. Head, arm, shoulder, the neck, and a couple of rough marks for the placement of the head. Center line. And then that helps me judge how wonky my head shape is.
There goes my drawing.
So find some placement of the arms, shoulder. Head, and very basic, no big decisions, just some ideas on placement, and then it's if you only put a mark or two to rearrange everything, it won't take more than a line, and that saves you having to redraw something nice. But first I like to find the placement on the page, and then make some decisions about the proportion, and try and find out where the mistakes are.
Mistakes.
There'll be lots of mistakes. So we have one long leg a little more horizontal to us, and one leg foreshortened. It's coming over and going behind. So as I look, I think placement to the eyes, can try and find the width of the face. And position of the arm going down, and again, nothing more than a couple lines, just to try and figure out placement, proportion, and then the angles of the figure. It's really hard to judge something if it's proportional until you have a couple things to go with it. So the idea is to throw in a couple shapes and have something to judge them against. And then hopefully the mistakes, if there are any, will kind of jump out at you. So just finding shapes and going down. I'm kind of marking out a little bit of shadows, using the shadows as anchor points also, but not jumping, trying not to go too deeply into anything specific.
Jeffrey Cleese is here. He says hello.
Hey, Jeff.
We got a shout out from Marla too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So now that I have a little bit of an idea of how the face is, I can then jump into trying to decide our kind of shoulder width, finding the nape of the neck, where the angles are coming off, and I'm going after position of the shoulder. So I had it out there with a couple lines, but I'm gonna try bringing it in a little bit. So making just easy kind of shapes. And then it's like whenever you're dealing with the body, whatever you do to one side of the body, you can do the other. So when somebody's reclining, one side's a lot higher. can just follow through the symmetry. So find the center line. And then the other thing to start thinking about is what you want to try and articulate later in the drawing, and what you want to leave bare. I think we have 3 hours tonight, so it's not going to be a lot of time to render, but we're going to be using pan pastels, so they cover really quickly, and they don't take a lot to fuss with and change everything around. So we'll try and get a layout in this first 20 minutes. Or how long are we going between breaks, Brian?
Yeah, we didn't set a timer. So I can just look at the clock. I'd like to go 23 or 25.
Okay. 23 is all right,
so we're
I guess.
at 11 now. The last few I haven't used a timer, that's my problem. Because they're painting.
Yeah.
Okay. Straight on. Oh.
All right. So we'll find I'm going to lower the center line. And find the hip on the other side. And then just keep it really basic. So we find the placement of where the leg goes down. And we'll just do another measurement. All right. Find the iliac crest and then go down. Find the position of the legs. And just keep it really simple cylinders. Try and line up the left side of the body with the right. We have kind of a shadow line on the bottom and just the front surface. All right. So find the knee and the foreshortening of the back of the leg to the ankle. And most of this is in shadow, so it's like all we need is just a basic shape and the lengths to what we think they are. All right. So I'm going to go back to the top and check our work and try and start finding a little more specifics. So looks like this arm is a little too narrow. So bring it out a little bit and then find the shape of the muscles in the elbow. It's a little long. So then we'll try to put in just a quick indication of where the shadow mapping is going to be. So got the forearm, the bicep, mostly in shadow. Got the hair coming down. So just linking things up. I'm trying to think about what's making sense and what isn't. I'm doing a lot of squinting. So the face. I think this is the side of the face. My center line is a little bit too towards the middle, so I'll move it over. And just find some rough positions of the eyeballs. So we got bridge of the forehead, so 1/2 to the chin will be the nose. And then put in just a circle to help guide us where the edges of the mouth will be. Trying to figure out the distance of the lips. Lips, mouth, lips, chin. So just putting in little marks where I think they could be. And again, it's just a matter of looking at them, seeing if they look like they're in the right place, and then trying again. So, how are you doing, Brian?
I'm doing pretty good. We got 5 minutes. I'm at a weird angle, so she looks really distorted on mine, but it's like in real life.
Yeah, you always pick the last chair, so that makes it difficult.
That's the role of the guy who runs the Atelier. Get everyone else's spots first.
Yeah. So, draw the face.
I'm way back here, Keith. Can people hear me this far away?
I'm sure they can.
Yeah.
I could, on your mic, you can hear yourself down the hall.
Shut up.
Yeah, like when you're walking back from the washroom, I could hear the clunk clunk.
No way. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so
I'm the
it's-
only one in the building, so that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it's a great mic. All right. So normally the next step would be to start putting in the shadow mapping with the charcoal, but and like start enunciating the lines. But I'm gonna do it a little differently today and block in the shadows and then make a two-tone drawing, and then correct it with the charcoal over the pan pastel, so that we can kind of like have a little more forgiveness. And a little bit more playtime to figure out the right shapes. So let's see. So we got the chest and the rib cage to kind of deal with. And I'll just try and put in a basic shape. So let's see.
Just as he does hear me clunking around. Dropping stuff probably.
Yeah.
All right. 2 minutes.
Okay. 2 minutes. All right. So try and face and hands and feet, that's where you're probably going to spend most of your time, so things don't look too weird. So with the hands, I try and just break them into boxes, and that's you know, you take the hand and then you bring it to the face, and I see that this hand's a little big. So we'll shrink it down. And again, if you keep it really simple at the start, it'll take 10 seconds to redraw. Don't have to go into any detail. It's just about finding the width, the length, and the position. Because if you do that, then when next you can kind of understand the relationship of this to that, this to that. And if you're going back and forth, hopefully you can kind of tie the ends together. So when you're off by a lot, things will jump out at you. And then hopefully you can correct it. So everything in relation to everything else. So belly's mostly in shadow, and then we have shadows going down to the knees. So I think most of this will be in fading away.
Stop this thing.
All right, so we'll
And then I
take 5.
I got a 7 queued.
Sure. I guess we'll take 7.
Yeah, I might be cut short. The 5's the same minute.
There we go. Okay.
All right. So I'm just correcting a couple things. I thought my forearm was a little short. Now it seems a little long. So we'll kind of hit it. Make that a little longer. Okay, so it's looking okay. The face is not happy with it, but we'll try and find the shapes with the pan pastel and then carve out with the charcoal. So I'm just going to block in the basic shape of the darks and the shadow, and pan pastel can be erased really easily, so it's great to kind of feel out since it can be changed easily. But it's like trying to put it on so we don't have to change it, but you know, things happen. So I'm not worried too much about the edges or the how soft everything is. Just going to try and find some placement of the main shapes, the eye socket, eyes, where the nose is, and we got light coming from the backside and top, so we have a cast shadow on the nose. We can kind of put something close to it in, and we can just put a couple dabs for the lips and chin. And just start going over, finding the terminator. So I think I'm not quite happy with the shape of her face, but try and find it after. But just light and dark, that's all I'm worried about, and then the shapes can be manipulated later. And hopefully the pattern will jump out at us and we can kind of fix it. Alright. Got hair coming down, and arm doesn't seem right, but slap in the shadow shape. I think the arm is a little too short. If I judge it against the head, probably goes out to here. That would make the shadow a little bit longer. So to the underside of the arm, and cast shadow of the arm and the bicep, and whittle away some of the forms. So got the shoulder and the pecs. I'll probably put that in shadow. So, fine, just I think most of this isn't in light, but it's a little softer. So go up to the shoulder and down the tricep and just make some guesses at the shadow pattern. Just kind of propped up on this arm, so the tricep is popping along with the brachialis. I'm not sure what muscle that is, Brian.
Which one?
It's the one that envelops the arm over here and goes from the elbow.
Oh yeah, and you can see her tendon there as well. The back of the elbow.
Yeah.
So that's a tricep flexion. Nice.
Yeah, so leave it in. I think we'll lose top of the torso there. Just treat the breasts like spheres and put in the shadow and cast shadow from it. So we lose most of the shapes. Let's just try and find the shadow pattern. And then we can, if we have time, we can articulate the reflected light and all that fun stuff later. I think she's on a little bit of a elevated pillow, so put most of it in shadow. The rib cage to the belly. And the hand, just keeping it simple. And then I think most of this of the belly is in shadow with a slight shape coming through. So I can lock in most of it. And then if we have time, we can go into the subforms, the belly button, and the rest. But again, just going in. Putting in the shadows. So, let's go down the leg. I think we have this nice cast shadow from the arm. And going down the leg. And little edge will be the quadriceps and a little bit of the knee if we have time. So I'm just going to put in really basic shape, since most of the leg will be in shadow, and keep it very basic. I don't know, let's see what kind of time I have. I think I'll probably keep the background diffuse and about the same value as the shadows, and then most of this will be in shadow. So I have a little bit of an edge. Just the leg going down to the fibula, and then a touch of the feet. Although I think most of it will be in shadow. So just dust it in, and if we have time, we'll find it later. So, kind of have some ideas. We need the cast shadow of the arm, and so now we can go back in and try and dig out some forms. So we're using some 6B General's pencil, and usually, you know, the majority of the time focus will be on the face, so we'll spend some time lining up and trying to dig out the shapes where the eyes are. Try and make it look good. So we have light coming down over her forehead. So just try and articulate a couple of forms. Try and get that cast shadow. So hard shadow on the bottom, soft shadow on the top. But let's see if we can enunciate that. So try and follow one eye, using it as a level to the other eye, and then one eye length is distance between them. So I'm not sure, but we'll just put in a couple lines and see See how we're doing. So usually I just work across and then find a couple shapes and then add the eyelids in. So have the basic size. I'm actually not happy with that, but try again. All right. Try and find, well, what I'm doing is putting the eyes too close together. So go back and find some shapes. So just going around the orbit and trying to pull out some ideas of where the bones sit, forehead. Find where the socket is. Nose. All right. She has, with the picture, we have really emphasized kind of lids. Well, we'll come back to it. So, try and find the parts of the face again. We go with the cheekbones and the nose. Really basic. Did not articulate the eyelids properly, so we'll try once more. Doesn't really matter if you get them the right size, but they should at least have the right shape. I don't know. What do you think, Brian?
What's that?
With eyes. Just put them in and
Fuss a lot? Is that what's going on?
yeah. Yeah. A lot of the face is really soft lines, so we don't want to put any hard edges. Except for a couple points, like top of the lip looks like you have a hard line.
I'm still walking in basic anatomy.
Well, it's probably gonna look better than mine then. But we'll put in some shapes and then we'll soften it maybe with a stump. So, and we'll just articulate the core shadow on the bottom of the face. And then once you blend it, the idea is that the charcoal is soft enough that it blends with the pan pastel, whereas regular charcoal is really brittle and hard. So it doesn't really mix well. The 6B and 4B generals is kind of like a lot softer, a little greasy. Oh,
Yeah, that happens.
nice.
Just, a little bit. There you go.
All right.
She fits in.
Cool.
You're
So,
so good at drawing Marla's face, I'm surprised you can't do that from memory yet.
well, that would be good if I had that kind of memory. I do not. Okay, so let's find some shapes. It's hand is hidden under the hair, which is a great place for it. Nothing's better than hiding them. Save us the time. Alright, so I think the shadow shape goes in a little more. So when the line gets hard, you go up on the edge and you make a hard line. When it goes soft, you use the edge of the charcoal and then just kind of go along it. So soft line, edge, hard line. All right. So, we'll find us a neck. Start adding in the forms and correcting our placement of where the shadow shapes are. center line. Put in the breast and find that core shadow. And again, trying to put it soft, and then the cast shadow will be hard. Down the belly, got the shapes of the abs going down. So, soft line and a hard line. Got a cast shadow. We'll make hard, going into a softer line. A little bit of the, I'm not sure, I think it's probably ribs and serratus, so just add a little bit. So we'll find the shoulder. Most of it's going into darkness. We'll probably fade it out here. And make a guess for the biceps.
It's binoculars are slowing me down.
You should just come up next to me.
Respecting the rules.
All right, 6 feet.
6 feet.
Yeah, you gotta stay safe.
Even off camera.
But thanks for the invite tonight, Brian.
Well, thanks for coming. Plug your show.
All right.
Plug your show.
So Brian was nice enough to give me the top floor at cSPACE to use for an exhibition. So there's a couple drawings with charcoal and pan pastel in the show, some with color, some without. But it's a mixture of paintings and drawings over the last couple of years. You're welcome to come out. COVID measures being enforced, so no opening show. So
No free food.
yeah, no free food. It's bring your own beer in all of Calgary, I guess. And it'll be up till the 15th. So you're welcome to come out and give a critique. But yeah, it was way more work than I thought putting the show up.
How many pieces do you think there are?
Probably 150.
Oh, God.
So
So it'd be well worth your while to come see the show. That's more than going like to Glenbow and seeing stuff.
well, probably not as good a quality.
Well, they're studies, right?
Yeah. There's a couple. I have 2 or 3 pieces in there, but the majority of the stuff is working from life, working from photo, and yeah. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun doing it. As artists, we don't like the back end work of selling, advertising, all the stuff that is the business side. So it's I'm happy it's up at least. Although next time I'm gonna invite 5 or 6 more people.
Yeah, it's tough hanging a show. Well, let's say you put the largest collection together. Okay, so that many pieces, Keith, is half of People's Portrait Prize, which took up 4 floors. We had 250 in our last People's Portrait Prize.
Yowzers.
So you single-handedly are half the show.
Well,
So there you go.
well,
Just
there.
put it into context.
Don't think I have that many portraits.
No, just pieces.
Yeah. All right.
Should look up at the, oh, we got some smiley faces. Sorry, I'm too busy to read these out to you.
Oh yes, Jeff Klepis. I love to hear Keith speak on his process with his muses and how he develops narrative in his work. There's so much going on in his work and at the show. Hey, he already plugged the show for us. He said that before we started talking, actually.
Thanks, Jeff.
And Greg says, looks good so far, Keith. Nice to have a change from old crusty Brian once in a while.
I'm just gonna, sorry, I gotta keep an eye on your camera here for you. There we go.
Just getting the top of my head.
No, the legs were going off. There we go. Ooh, it looks good.
All right. So basically just finding the main lines and trying to break, leave most of this nondescript, and we can do it like look after it with just a bit of tone. So most of it can just be left, and then we can try and put some articulation at the main plane changes. And then we just have to figure out where the light breaks. It's like a cast shadow and then a little bit of the quadriceps can kind of be shown. But most of this will be in shadow. So you can kind of go, so when I'm using the charcoal pencil, you can also load up where you're going to be doing a lot of blending. So the pan pastel and the charcoal will kind of mix. So if you have an edge that's going to be very dark and you want to enunciate it, you can just build up and add more material, and then when you go in with the pan pastel, it'll blend a lot better.
I think you were the first person that I saw use pan pastel. Came in here with a palette of them.
Yeah.
How did you find out about pan pastel?
I can't remember actually.
I remember I had to order mine. They didn't have them stocked in the store.
All right. I'm not happy about that shape of the hair, so we'll just change it a little bit. Yeah, the good thing about it is it works well with the smooth, cheap paper we have here, Strathmore Gray, which also comes in the gray sketchbooks. And I'm not a fan of the texture, since it has a texture, but it's kind of ugly to me. I don't really like it.
Sketchbooks?
Yeah.
It's different than this?
No, it's the same,
Okay.
but I mean, the texture, if you use hard charcoal with it, unless you stump,
Yeah.
it doesn't get a clean shadow. So when it comes to filling in the shadows to make them subdued and kind of non-intrusive and have it fall back in atmosphere, it takes a lot of work with charcoal. But with pan pastel, you can just simply add it and then blend it in. Alright, so that's the black. Now the white, I get a different kind of applicator, and then I basically treat all the forms exactly the same, and then I go back over and subordinate. So the ones close to the light will be strong. The ones away from it will be a lot less. But when you first putting it on, you can just, depending how much is on your applicator, set it in and then basically knock it down later. But
So do you use like one applicator for one color, or like one applicator for dark, one for light?
yeah, that's a big deal.
That's why you gave me two here. Oh, there.
Yeah,
You
so
gifted me some applicators today. Under the toilet seat thing. Stop to the side.
yeah, so basically going after the highlight on each surface. And then after we've gone through most of the forms, you can kind of play with it depending how much is on the applicator, and then go for midtones with a lot less pastel on the foam. But you basically treat all the surfaces like they're a sphere. So we got highlight, and then we'll have blending of the from the highlight, turning the form. But you can spend all day fussing I just like knocking it on and then again bringing the surface down. So this arm will be brighter than this arm, will be brighter than this leg. But it takes nothing to just wipe this stuff off. So you can just put your highlight shapes on and lighten the form and then knock it down after. So it doesn't have to be very skillful. It's just a matter of deciding where the highlight or the surfaces are that are facing the light. And then you can adjust it as you have time. So it's just a matter of going down the form and adding light, and then it's a back and forth, adding more shadow, adding more light, turning the form with some finagling of the values. But it's like here on the leg, you can just add a highlight, wipe off the applicator, and then you can just blend in to soften the highlight, turning the form. So using what's on the paper or what's on the applicator, and then again, once most of the picture is covered, you can start figuring out a hierarchy of the brightest bright, where the places on the figure you want to leave it white and where you want to knock it down. So it's just about figuring out where the shapes are and where the planes are that are facing the light. And it's a good medium since you can draw and fix what you're doing over and over, because it doesn't on this smooth surface, it wipes off easily and erases easily. So just put highlights on the eyelids even though they're not really there, but I can go back over it and knock it down. And then it's showing me where my drawing is really awful and where I should fix. And then it's a lot of just manipulating. And figuring out some lost edges and where some shapes can just be unified and put together. And then we can go after the more important kind of parts and hopefully fix the parts that don't work. All right, so back to the So here on the cheek, it's way too dark with the raw umber I'm using, or no, way too dark with the mark I made, but with stuff on the applicator, I can just go in and knock it down and get a smooth transition. Keep all the shadow in shadow, and keep the rule of light going. So the lightest dark is darker than the darkest light. So hopefully things will kind of go together and make sense visually. So now I'm kind of going through and adding the midtones, and then looking to kind of adjust the shapes and where to fix, and where to erase. Like, the mouth doesn't quite look right along with the eyes, but kind of just deal with it. Okay, going down the arm again. How are you doing, Brian?
Great, this pan pastel's so fast.
Yeah.
I'm catching up.
Yeah, I like it because, like, you could spend all day just softening the shadows to an even value. Because the trick to make something look three-dimensional too is the shadows should be very subdued and kind of unobtrusive, and it works better if they're flat, so that
Yeah.
the light forms will pop.
So you use a soft charcoal to do that dark line?
Yeah,
Okay.
like I add a 6B.
Cool.
You want to borrow one?
May I? Thank you. I only have part for that. See, oh my God, I did a sharpen job. Did a sharpen job on that.
All right, so
Okay.
again, squinting and then just trying to tell the story of light, right? Got a half tone to kind of accentuate and kind of cast shadow and form shadows to kind of put in. So I'm just going to make the foreground a little darker. And then the background will be maybe a little bit darker, I'm not sure. Let's see what we have time for. We've got to finish going down the form and then turning. So finding that kind of half tone coming off the core shadow that we put with the charcoal, and just figure out what's a little darker and what's a little brighter. And then just obfuscating, trying to subdue all the stuff that isn't important. And again, you don't really, until you have time, you don't really have to differentiate every little thing. It's just about hitting it with enough for the kind of light to kind of work on it. So it's like you don't have to go in detail in the dark and make it very different than the light until you have time. So it's like the majority of the time should be spent on the core shadow, the highlight, the basic forms, and then if you have time, you can start doing more and more subtle things. But I'm trying to learn how to draw for painting where you don't have time to waste on extraneous things. You'll end up using most of your time just on the drawing and a couple basic shapes. So simplifying is almost more important than being able to put everything in a picture. All right. All right, let's finish up with this pass. Since I'm using raw umber, it doesn't quite go as dark as the charcoal, but we can kind of use that to effect. Like we can go really heavy in the shadows and you won't overdo. Because I'm just trying to get two values in the shadow, like a dark and then a kind of accentuated dark for the core shadow, and then we can add a little more subtlety, like I said, if we have time, which we probably won't.
It's only 7:30, it's really halfway.
Cool, so it'll be lots of time to fix it and turn the form. got most of the leg in shadow. Can add quite a bit more material and bring in the haze. And then if we have time, we might add a foreground. I think this is a picture on where she's on the model stand, so with a leg falling off. So after I get all done this doesn't quite seem right. I think I'll probably add a little bit bigger forearm. So it's too straight. So can kind of use the kneaded eraser, kind of pull back and lighten that. Kind of go after the back end. And soften it. So the light's going down and belly's mostly in darkness. And kind of dig out just a little bit of light and blend it in. So now the fun part of just going through the drawing, adding more and more shapes, and evening out the tone, trying to make it look a little better. I don't like that kind of hard shape. Going around the mouth, I think maybe get over the bottom of cast shadow being hard. The top should be soft and indistinct. I think I have the philtrum kind of in the wrong place. So I'll try again. And try and make it make sense. Well, I'm not sure if that's any better. I think the only thing to do is just stand back and look at it. Well, it's not horrible, but there's a couple problems. Don't like the rib cage, seems like it's off, and a couple other places could use some attention. So So the next step, after I get this all done, is to go in with white charcoal and start adding the rest of the details to the eye. And you can use some cross hatching to kind of blend. But I could probably spend all night just figuring out where these shapes are supposed to go. And where I'm going wrong.
Is that the noodling?
Yeah. Noodling and correcting. Putting in eyebrows and all that fun stuff.
ask Henry Yama about this stuff?
Oh yeah. He was Mr. Unify the Shadows.
Yeah.
Henry Yan was so good at simplifying the forms to really basic structures. Yeah, he was really a good teacher too. So the thing I did wrong there is I put the highlight up against the edge. So I know I'm going to have to go back and fix that. Kind of kills the form if you put the brightest spot next to the edge. Even if you see it in the photo, you shouldn't do it. Kind of kills the three-dimensionality. Not a whole lot better. So I'm going to go through and reassert some of the darkest darks and cast shadows. Try and fix the mushy forms. Just go in and round the forms and make sure the shadows are dark. I don't really like the torso. I think I kind of lose the roundness. Although most of it's in darkness, kind of play out, try and suggest the little peaks of the ribs, since the body's crooked. There'll be a little bit of an angle. Can add a little bit of material to the background to darken it up with the pan pastel. And then re-enunciate the core shadow. Make a strong tricep. Squint and add some shapes.
When you squint different amounts?
Yeah, sometimes.
I squint different to see the highlights than to see the shadows.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I don't know if anyone else does that. Like I really squint hard to see highlights, right? Like the blacks just disappear.
Mm.
And I don't squint as hard to see the shadows. And the highlights are kind of blown out. I didn't see how much to squint.
I usually just yeah, put a major squint in to try and see the difference. And see the basic shape. So I put a whole bunch of white all over the chest, but none of the chest is really that bright. So then I'll just go in and knock it down a little bit with the other applicator.
The dirty one?
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's kind of just finding some mid-tone shapes, because when the surface is covered with pan pastel, it gets really slick, and then you can kind of blend just really easily by dirtying the surface up with all the material that's on there. So we've got some kind of folds and creases of skin going up as the shoulder has that weight on it. Most of that is in kind of mid-tone. And this shape is the top of the top of the pecs and the bone, making a ridge. So just trying to simplify it so it doesn't read so wonky. Just trying to get a lost edge on the bottom of the arm as the cast shadow goes down onto the surface of this pillow. So try and round the forms and get some kind of fall of light happening. So the charcoal is so soft, you can make some marks and just almost wipe them off. So you can kind of play out some halftones without any effort. You can turn the form without doing a lot of rendering. So this arm is way too light. We'll try and put in the knuckles and the rest of the fingers. I think I'll probably knock the fingers down a little bit and then do some highlight on the nails with some white charcoal, which is just a pastel. All right. All right, start adding more material around the leg. Try and darken it up so it looks more natural. think I see a little bit of the foot on the far side. I'll put in a shape and see how it looks. I think the main shape I see is the kneecap to the shin, kind of making the darkest dark, and then just you can play into that kind of banana curve of the shin. Well, now it's like I almost have nothing else to do but fix the face. Dull pencil won't be much use on the face, so grab a sharp one. I'm going to add a hard shadow on, cast shadow from the eyelids, and then try and play up the forms. Kind of I lost the bottom eyelid, but I think I'll just add it with some white. There's a kind of step of the shadow as it's on the eye socket. I'll try and put that in.
So it's 8, we got an hour. Do you want to take a little break? Step back and look at it?
That'd be good.
All right, guys. 7 minutes. Tea break. We'll cut it in early. There we go. And we're back. Okay, I might have to adjust this camera again.
Well,
Are you laughing at? It does give a little bit better angle for those friends of ours at home.
oh yeah, I have to.
Excellent.
All right. Let's fix what we can.
There we go. So because we haven't been using the timer, we haven't been stepping back as often as maybe we would.
Yeah. Not enough stepping back, that's for sure. So this arm doesn't match this arm. So we're gonna try and fix it. Make it make sense. And then hair in the next 20 minutes, finish the face. Then try and finish up.
I would say it's a lot of time management when you have the model.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, I think I need to bring back the shoulder a bit. Since this bicep was way too small and this is too thin compared to the other one. So I have it on the drawing too small. Shadow from the hair. So blend it all together. It's a little better. So while the pan pastels can be erased and moved around well, the charcoal from these generals cannot. That's all right. that's still too short of a bicep. So, change it up and try again. Let's see. Oops. All right. Now I gotta finish up the face and do the hair.
Now's where it's like, this seems so quick. Time passing, I mean.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna add highlights to the hair and then maybe make the shape a little, try and make the shape a little more interesting. It's hard, I want to lean in and get close and put my big head in the way. Especially for like the delicate work. Just trying to add to the shape of the eye socket and make the lids make sense. Don't have a lot of shape to them yet. So, just adding highlights and trying to fix the drawing again. Just that back and forth. Add some light. See if you like it, and add some dark. See if you can fix it. There's a bunch of subtlety on the bottom lip where it's making little shape on either side of the mouth that I really like. So I'm trying to put it in. So we can add a little bit of cross hatching going away from the highlight to build up and add a little bit more volume. So not a lot of time, so it's gonna have to be pretty sparse. Just a couple shapes. And I can try and knock down the mistakes with the stump. And try and even out the shadows. But you see, once you do that, it also knocks off the majority of the charcoal. Since it's such a slick surface, it doesn't have any tooth, so it doesn't really grab anything. Just going to add some shapes around. Try and bring out the volume of the hair. Now we can go through and do a pass, just articulating those highlights with subtlety in them. We have, like, I think the brightest bright would probably be the nose and the eyelids, and then everything else should be more subdued and not too articulated. So we're just trying to even out the tone and make it so that that shows in light, and try and be strategic. And try and get rid of all the lines, so that it kind of makes sense. And then try and get a smooth transition. Play out the forms of the hand. the kind of highlights to like the nails, cuticles. Just try and make them a little bit different than the rest of the hand to make them pop a little bit. And then we can go back and knock it down if it gets a little too strong. But just basic suggestions of form. In this leg, I think that's a way too hard a line. So we'll try and just knock it back. The back of the leg needs a lot of tone. I'm just trying to round the form and make it look believable. So, where are you on your drawing, Brian?
I feel like I'm getting close to being done. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
I'm not doing the lower leg, so. Maybe, you know what, it's what, 8:30?
Yeah.
We got time then. I'll add more.
So, thing. I'll add some muscles and then try and play out the plane of the back of the leg. I think there should be a lot more tone, and we can play out the fall light. So the fall light would be the lights coming from the side. This would be bright, and then it would slowly drop down, going to the legs, which would be the least amount of light on the form. So just simply knocking it back and then making that a lot brighter than that. Hopefully we'll play out the illusion. And we can try and get it to make sense. And then go after subforms and add shapes that'll kind of make it make sense.
Is up in Fort Mac right now.
Oh, nice.
Sounds like hell up there. Glad we chose this incredibly challenging field.
Nice. tone to the belly button. And the fall light there, or the darkness in the shadow. And a little bit of the hip. We got cast shadow of the arm going down. Can play that up. So just adding more of the raw umber. Try and darken up the shadow side. So I didn't quite get to Jeffrey's questions,
What, his more?
just the ones he had before. I have a hard time talking and working at the same time. I don't think the connection to my from my mouth to my brain is active when I draw. So
It's hard.
I'm just adding the background. I'm trying to get it, trying to even it out. Yeah, pan pastels are great, but truthfully, if I was doing this much area at home to darken, I would have a black chalk or something of that nature to cover that much area. So why waste your time filling in, right?
Well, you came up with the saying, breaks are for backgrounds. Or backgrounds are for breaks, so we didn't take them. You do it at home, right? When the
No.
model's not here. There is no model here. There might be some confusion about that, guys. I'll give Marla a shout out.
Yeah, thank you very much, Marla, for letting us use the image. She was very generous and has been for the Atelier.
Yeah, and also you can get this on the website with the censorship bar on it. If you're gonna draw it today. Last week, Luella drew Greg off the screen, I think her iPhone, in the follow along.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, so I don't wanna leave people in the lurch with you know, not good reference, but she gave me the drawing to give Ray in my car.
Nice.
It looks like she drew it looking at a screen at the angle.
Cool.
It wasn't, she only drew for 45 minutes. Wasn't great. You know, they're seeing your drawing at an angle. Like it's not straight on like you see it, right?
So it's like
At
this?
the end. Close, yeah.
Like that?
Pretty close. Just a little bit down and then you're parallel. Yeah.
Hmm.
You can see up in the screen if it looks like a rectangle. If the paper looks rectangular,
Yeah.
then it's not so good.
Well,
There's all sorts of tricks.
what time is it?
Hey, there's Jeff. No worries, Keith. Your show makes me so much more curious about the more personal aspects of your art. It's 8:30.
You want to call her in? I'm on a cleanse, so I will go to bed at any time.
We can take 5 and
Okay.
then finish strong.
Yeah.
The biggest thing I can tell people is to stand back to assess your work. Don't be like us and spend the whole time,
Stuck in our seats.
yeah, locked in by a camera.
Yeah,
So
you
it's,
can't really move in here.
yeah.
So we'll take 5, guys. If you can, dance to this. There we go.
Cool. Last segment to fix everything and clean it up. And
So I'll set a timer for 23. That's the Michael Jordan timer.
cool.
Do you want to see it? Let's see if you're magnetic.
Thanks. All right. So now we're down to nitty gritty. Do the put in the important shapes and fuss where we can if we have time. So it's pretty good. The there's very little articulation of the pillow she's on, but just gonna have to insinuate some shapes. And then add some darker midtones. So I can you read that on the screen when you're up here normally, Brian?
That's what I do. Yeah.
I need glasses.
Oh no, it's super small.
Oh, okay, good. I thought I was going blind.
No, it's brutal. That's why I can't comment at the same time. If I had two monitors,
It's just abscond with another monitor from somewhere in the building.
well, I can't hook out two out of that laptop. That's the issue.
Hmm. All right. So just playing up the shapes.
So, are you gonna go home and make some art after this?
Maybe.
Or I guess you're gonna work on the show a little bit too. Maybe.
All right. I have to plug the gallery show here at cSPACE. That was the reason for coming. So if you're not busy in Calgary, you can come by cSPACE, buzz Brian's place at 410, and then come see the show on the 4th floor if you have the time.
Galleries are big, empty, and safe, and dog friendly. You can walk your pets here if you would need a little break from wherever you might be.
Dog friendly, nice.
Yeah.
That's great. And it's the show will be up to the 15th. So feel free to stop in. Going to add some tone and differentiate the foreground from this pillow and try and have a couple harder pencils, try and turn the form. Make some shapes. So it's just a matter of squinting and then figuring out where should be bright and where should be a little bit darker. The time is running short, so it's like it's kind of, you just go after the most important things. Don't really have to fuss too much. Just about trying to insinuate some shapes rather than rendering them. Figuring out where the high spot is in a form and then adding some material to the darker side. I think the legs don't have a lot of form to them yet, so gonna try and add some planes, make it a little more realistic. say so, hey?
Yes. It
What?
all came about by accident, and now it's the way I do it.
Very soothing.
I was studying ornithology. I still am, but just a little busy for my studies, and I thought, I'll listen to some bird songs. And then I figured out, well, YouTube can't block this. There's no birds, there's no pelican out there with the copyright. That I know
Is
of.
that where it's from?
What, pelicans?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. YouTube? YouTube pelicans?
Yeah.
But there's no copyright on it, you know?
Yeah.
They canceled off some of my streams because music or something in the background, you know.
What were you listening to?
Well, I just had my YouTube on. Whatever it played.
Hmm.
I think it was wrong. They sent me a report of what they said the song was, and it wasn't even the song. So, it's just a robot.
These robots are taking over the world.
Yeah. I saw a robot in the news yesterday that will weed your garden.
Well, send them my way.
It looks like a spider. It's gonna be terrifying if people have those.
If it can clean up my garden, I'm all for it. As long as it doesn't kill me in my sleep.
What's next? If it builds a replica of itself. Although, having a robot kill you in your sleep would be better than it torturing you to discover humans' weaknesses.
You think that'll be what it spends its
Yeah.
time doing?
It's like, haha, we must figure out the human's weakness. Father made us.
It'd be pretty simple. I mean, it would take them 10 minutes, and our weakness is McDonald's.
You just Google it. So the robot starts feeding you.
Yeah. It kills us all off with cholesterol.
That's what's gonna be happening.
Yeah.
You might want to check the timer there.
Yeah. Oh, the timer isn't even going.
What? I failed us? Sorry. Look at the clock at the top right. On the screen there.
It's 8:51.
Yeah, I felt like it was gonna. What? Funny. Fail again on the timer. I do that like every episode. That's my constant.
It's all right.
Take it to the limit. I'm almost ready to sign this thing.
I could tinker on this for hours. I feel I've been spoiled working from photos because you can blow them up and adjust the contrast.
Yeah. Which we should have done to make our lives even better, but we didn't. I thought you were gonna draw in color today.
Oh no, it's not fun doing pen, pastel, and color unless it's like a monochrome or something.
Really?
So, because as soon as you go, past the first application, things start getting muddy quickly.
Muddy. Ah.
So muddy is good with black and white because
Yeah.
here we can add tone and make it look good. But yeah, with color, it's you have to basically make it like an alla prima where you just go over everything once and not touch your marks.
So in a way you're coloring it in?
Yeah.
5th. Cinco de Mayo.
All right, it's margarita time.
I missed the May the 4th holiday on the old social media,
Oh.
swamped with work. And I did the Canadian census yesterday and asked religion, and Jedi wasn't an option.
What? You had to write it in, huh?
Yeah, you did right on. I just said none, but for that. Might come back to haunt me.
Why?
Because I feel like they're like geolocating us. They asked a lot of questions about my gender, my marital status, you know, those types of things. It's none of their business. Okay, 6 minutes. Thank you for these applicators too, they're great.
Yeah, the oval ones are the only ones to use for me.
Yeah. Well, a flat for background maybe, because you could cut towards the edge,
Yeah.
but that's all I could see it being good for. Unless some people have that style, right?
Yeah, you could do more geometric if you wanted, right?
Yeah, Mark Vasquez, he does geometric in his figure work, so I think he would really like that one. Shout out.
So just softening edges, filling in shadow. Last couple touches.
I like this notation on the pencil.
Why, what does it say?
There's 2 lines on it, does that mean
Oh,
soft?
yeah, that means soft.
Yeah. It's a good idea.
When
Once
they,
you get past a certain point, you can't tell anymore. Yeah. That turned out great.
okay. Oh, there's another. There's a sharp one. Okay, what do we got?
3 minutes.
Time to redraw it.
Back to the beginning. Nice and sharp, that pencil. Oh wait. It'll be fine in the story. But you've got boobs on the screen. Damn it.
Yeah, gotta keep everything PG-13. So last minute, just add the darkest dark.
I'll talk while you're still drawing. Thank you so much, Keith, for sharing with us your work. You can check out Keith on Instagram and Facebook. The information is in the description box below. Also, please do come to the show. It's an empty gallery without you in it, which means it's safe. And likes, comments, subscribe, share. What's the other thing? Hit the notification bell. That's right. We will be posting the pieces we made tonight on social media so you can see how they turned out there. But it's 9, and we've got things to do. He's tilting up for you guys.
Yeah.
Check
not
it
bad.
out. Social media. What are the accounts again? Instagram, Springall Keith.
Springall Keith. Yeah, if you want to follow. If not, you can leave rude comments, like the robots.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, you guys.
Okay.
We're going.
Thank
to,
you very much.
That's how I get out. Oh my God. Sorry.
That's fun. I haven't drawn with pen pastels in a
There
couple
you go.
weeks.
Oh, man, no,